I just want to say thank everyone. Thank everyone for coming back. We're so
Yes.
honored. Trust me, we know that there's so many other things you guys could be doing right now, but you guys are on this live with us talking about real shit. Appreciate it. We appreciate your guys'
Yes.
time, your comments, all your love, all your support. And yeah, today's going to be good. For those of you that are new, this is Opinionhated, our live podcast. This is my cousin Zuri. My name is Ivana. We go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And we also have a couple announcements for you guys. So we're basically going to be calling this Trivia Tuesday. Yes. So every Tuesday, we are going to have something new and exciting for you guys. Ask the questions, and then if you get all of them right, we're going to ask you 4 questions. If you get all of them right, you will get a $25 gift card with or either you can get an Apple Pay or Cash App or Zelle.
Yeah. Most definitely. It's a really fun and exciting way to get all of our, I mean, this is only episode 5, okay? This is only episode 5. And we have a good amount of people who have watched every single live. And if you have been an opinion hater, you will know the answers to these questions. And this is just another way to get you guys to interact. And it just comes with prizes. Like Linda said, you can, get cash payment, Zelle, however it works out. But yeah, so that will be at the end of the life. And you have to get all 4 right.
Yes, you
have
to get all 4 right. And then you can either hop on the live and tell us the answers, or either you can comment below and tell us the answers. Our podcast will be available on Apple Music, TikTok,
and that YouTube.
Way. Oh yeah, and YouTube too. Like, we're gonna start it, and then we're gonna upload all of our episodes. That way, if you haven't got to catch first, second, or third, then you can go on YouTube and watch us.
Yes. It's about childhood traumas. We are going to talk about any and everything that we have all gone through, that we can relate to. And we're just going to dive into it. So let me get my first guest in here. Hello. Introduce yourself, stay on topic, and talk your shit. Those are the only rules. So I mentioned that we're talking about childhood traumas, and without saying too much, this was something that you suggested, and obviously it's something that we all need to talk about. Everybody has issues. And today we're just going to get down, and again, we're not therapists, okay? But we're going to get down to the bottom of basically what category we all fit in, right? So my question to you first, you got to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mooney, and like she said, I'm the one that came up with the topic.
Some examples of traumatic events in a childhood that could affect a person in their adult life. Could be the absence and or the death of a parent, alcohol and drugs, violence in the home, being separated from your parents or your siblings, or abandonment. What is something you want to share with us?
I don't really know any like serious traumatic events. This is probably like shoved inside somewhere, but I just like can't pinpoint it, But I feel like one that like personally is like pretty traumatic to me, but like it has like a role in my adult life, is just like being taught to be like hard or tough like everywhere I go. Like whether that being like forced to fight, forced to steal something, just to like prove, you're like tough or something. But I feel like it carries over to my adult life, like just like new interactions. It would like, I mean, I'll be like cool with them, but like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm always having like that fighting mentality that I think is like, always carrying on from like my childhood.
So but like in other words, like peer pressure, like you felt like you had to fit the mold of what society, or even could be family and friends, were putting you through.
Yeah, so like at a young childhood, like, being forced to fight, like I'm just trying to chill, but being forced to fight and stuff, like it really like has that mentality on me, like just always like trying to prove I'm tough or something like that. But like, I'm not trying to put that on other people, because like everyone was trying to chill, you know. But like it's
Yeah.
always that thing in the back of my head, is like,
Would you agree or disagree to the fact that you were treated harshly or neglected as a child? Like, do you feel like, where does this stem from? Like, was there not other adults like around you at this time to be able to say like, okay, well, he don't want to fight or he's not into all of that. You guys keep that over there. Like, who had your back?
um, I don't really think I was like treated harshly or neglected like that, but
Like physical, sexual, mental abuse, the lack of affection and or attention, your needs not being met, being lied to from your parents or like your adult figures, or being overlooked in general.
I
Like,
feel like a lot of it came from like guilt tripping in a sense. Like
mm,
you could be doing something right, what you think is right, but like in order, like it's not right in your parents' eyes or something like that. So it could just like seem as if like they're like getting on you for something that you're trying to pursue, but it's like I don't I
kind
don't
of
really
like
know
you're
how to
living
explain it.
in their shadows. Like you felt like, so like in a way, like you were looking for approval. Like you wanted to do right, you were trying to do right, but like nothing you did was ever right in their
Yeah,
eyes.
so like there would be things that I felt like I did for them, but it's like never enough. Like
Did you tend to justify any of your abuse or neglect? And then if so, why?
mm, I don't think I ever did. I was always grateful because my parents were like always loving, so I would never put anything on them. But yeah, I just I just
Do
wanted
you
to know, like,
ever feel like resentful? And it doesn't even have to be like towards your parents, though. Like, do you ever feel like resentment in any of like the situations that you were like put in, or you
um
know,
nah, I don't ever see it like, or I don't ever resent anything. I always view it like it's like a learning
a
lesson,
learning
like
experience? Like everything
yeah,
happens for a reason, kind of thing.
exactly. So like
Gotcha.
yeah, I don't like blaming anything on other people. I just like try to see like how I can learn from it and you
That's a
know
good mindset to have. If a situation happened, like you don't have to do oh, I need to get them back or hold a grudge
yeah,
against them.
yeah,
Like it's just
exactly.
a learning experience. Okay, whatever you did to me or whatever you said to me, I'm not going to put you in that position to be able to do it to me again.
Right.
Exactly. I just feel like that's just wasted energy in a sense. Like I could just be putting that energy into something else to like be building myself. But
So what do you
I like
do
that.
differently like in your adulthood? Like do you that goes on like, all right, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I went through this, I see this, I noticed this, but this is how I'm gonna move going forward.
yeah.
What
So
was the outcome for you?
um, probably just like seeing the way like me and my family were living. Like
Mm,
it just like put me in a sense like um, I wasn't like babied or anything, but like like we were like kept in a bubble, and
shelter.
we just like we yeah, exactly, and we couldn't like grow from that. Like we was
Mm.
like stuck in the same place. So I had
Mm.
to go out and I had to find out for myself, for my family.
And what does that feel like though? What underlying guilt? You know how like, oh, you forgot where you came from, or you
Like I'm not there enough for them, but like it's just like I don't want them to see the things I'm going through, but I just I need to go through it in order to learn,
mm,
like in order to grow.
you
But
gotta go through it to get through
yeah,
it. That's a
yeah,
fact. Sometimes outcomes of traumas can feel normal. They can seem normal, but some of them
Mhm.
are constantly seeking approval, the fear of criticism, failing to recognize your own accomplishments, the
mhm,
need for perfection. You become a people pleaser, or like me, I
Mhm.
feel uneasy when everything is going good. Like in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, hold on, like something's about to go wrong. Like
yeah.
Yeah,
there's no way I could be this happy or things could be this good.
No,
that's
yeah, exactly.
me.
I feel the same exact way. Like I could, like, no matter what I'm doing, like it could be going smooth, and then like there's just that thing in the back of my head. It's like telling me like there's got to be something wrong.
Right.
Like I can never be like chilling.
You can never be really,
Mm.
really happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Last question, Winnie. Last
Uh-huh.
question. What is something you're gonna do different moving forward to overcome those traumatic events in your life? What do you tell yourself every day? What do you have to remind yourself? Like,
I really like just think about everyone else. Like everyone else is going through something too. Like they may be going through something like even worse than me. So like, who am I to complain about the situation I'm in? So I'm always just, you know, trying to like
That's powerful.
put myself in other people's shoes and just keep on going. Like whatever I'm capable of doing, I'm gonna do it.
And you got to believe it. I would just like to say that this is my brother-in-law, Mooney. And I've mentioned in one of the other podcasts that I didn't really know God. I didn't really have a relationship with him until I came into your guys' family. And I post you all the time. You, Cynthia, Lily,
Yeah,
Onan, I post you guys all the time. You guys played such a huge role in my life. I was around you guys since I was 14 years old. And I
Definitely, y'all
found
did.
God through you guys. So I just want to take the moment to tell you, I love you so much.
I love you
I'm proud of the man that
too,
you're
sis.
becoming.
Thank
And you
you.
got
And
this.
what you said was definitely inspiring in a way, like for
Thank you.
sure. Like
Yeah.
your way of thinking, I like it.
Yeah. Most
Thank you.
definitely. I love you, brother.
Okay
Everybody.
to talk about things you've been through because sometimes maybe for a person talking out loud about what they have been through help will help them. You know,
Exactly.
always have to go to a therapist. Even though like I feel like in the Black community, like going to therapy, people think, "Oh, I don't want nobody to look at me like I'm crazy or I ain't got my shit together or anything." Just being
Or me,
labeled.
because I'm like, you human too. How you gonna tell me? And you ain't walked a day in my shoes. So how you gonna tell me how to feel? You know,
No.
that was my thoughts. I'm like, I don't go to therapy, but maybe I should. I mean,
Yeah. But
some
therapy doesn't also always look like sitting in a chair
right.
facing another person, telling them like your story or whatever you're going through and them just writing in a little book. That's
Yeah,
and I feel like that's what people like when they think about that, that's what they see.
yeah.
And it's not like therapy for some people could just be writing in a journal every day, you know,
This
or going
is
on.
therapy.
Yeah.
You go through it and you understand, like, damn, okay, there was no way for me to understand myself without going through this. Like,
Yeah.
I've mentioned this before. I got pregnant at a very young age, and I was like, at the time, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. Now that I'm here, I could not imagine my life not being a mom. I'm like, God, this was my purpose. You put this on me for a reason.
Mhm.
And I have to
Mhm.
accept this calling and move forward with it. Please, 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 if you have a story to share, a testimony, you want to teach us something, you want to share something, like Mooney did, you don't have to put your face in the camera. Share your story. It may, somebody behind this camera could be listening like, damn, that's me. You know what I mean? Help somebody.
Yeah, I'm back. Hey y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I wasn't gonna join before, but y'all's topic is is really speaking to me, and I've gone through a lot that probably the average person that knows me wouldn't know.
Were there any significant traumatic events in your childhood that affect your adult life today?
hmm Yeah, no, definitely there's a couple. So as you know, I'm adopted into like a family pretty much, a different family that's my it's difficult, it's too long to explain, but adopted pretty much. And growing up through foster care and through adoption, it's almost like everywhere I was placed I was like sexually molested. And it just seemed like after, I don't know, I think I was that happened to me from like age of 2 all the way until like 14. And so going through that, like as an adult, thank God I'm married now and I have a wonderful husband. But as an adult, like trying to find myself, it was really difficult to like find my self-worth, and like really like think
Yeah.
I'm worth being loved. So a lot of times I would seek, my love, and the only way I felt people would show me any type of attention, which was
Mm.
sexual. And so that was really hard. It just affected me in my adulthood, of course. And another thing was being in a family that's not really like yours, like not your blood family. And so
Mhm.
you start to see like the differences, like how they treat you. And even though they say they love you, you feel like they love you, but you see the signs that's like, okay, but you would
You
never
love me
choose
to a certain
me.
extent.
Exactly. Like you would never choose me first. And that's a hard, like
Mhm.
as an adult, as I got older and like experienced like different I don't know, like huge events in my life, like my wedding or people passing in the family, like people start to like really show like, okay, this is it's not like no love lost, but it's like it's a hard pill to swallow because you're
Mm.
like, okay,
You thought
I'm not it
they
for
would be
you.
there.
Yeah. Or I thought they would choose me first. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's like it hits you. It's like, whoo, it's hard. And so as an adult, and especially like, I have a son now, and like, creating my own family, like you just look at people different. You know what I'm saying? Like the world different. I
Yeah.
don't know. But you also have some type of appreciation and like understanding where that person was too, because it's like I don't know how it feels to raise somebody who's not your blood. You know what I'm saying? Like that is hard.
Yeah. So all the times that you got moved around, it was like in unfamiliar places.
Oh yeah, definitely. In unfamiliar places, people were like mean to me, like
Mhm.
just doing some evil stuff. But
Gotcha.
you're young, so all you want to do is, like your brother-in-law was saying before. I don't know if you were saying or he was saying it. Just sometimes all you want to do is just be accepted by somebody. So like when you're moved around to so many different places, like you start to like, like kind of find comfort in the shadows and like just try to like be
Staying out the way.
unnoticed. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just
Mm.
so
Yeah.
people could just accept you and love you, and you do what they say. You're a people pleaser, you know what I'm
People
saying, which I
pleaser.
have been for a while. But like with my son, I think with my son, I try to instill into him just kindness.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's obviously he's not ever going to experience anything that I've experienced before, but I just feel like growing up, I was very kind, too sensitive, they would say. And I came to a point where I was like really depressed and I just got mean.
If you don't mind me asking, when did you find God? Was this in the midst of your storm or was this after?
Mm. Um, so I was baptized when I was like 14, but I don't think I knew what that meant.
Right.
You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like I did it because everybody else was doing it. And so I was in the vicinity of God in the church and stuff, but I don't think I really understood it. And then I think when I officially found God was when I tried to seek my own relationship with Him. And I think that was after college. So I went to
Mm.
like a private school, Christian school, and I feel like they were forcing God onto me. And it just was uncomfortable. It didn't feel right. And
Yeah.
so, like, afterwards, that's when I started like reading my Bible and like praying, and like God was blessing me. You know what I'm saying? Like he was answering my prayers. I was like, okay, God, I see you.
No,
I see you.
most
You're listening to
definitely.
me.
And correct
He
me if
was
I'm
showing you
wrong.
that he was real.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It was
So
powerful.
what is your relationship like with your husband, so to speak? Did you ever admit these things to him, and then how did he help you heal from what you've been through? Because you don't look like what you've been through, girl. Let me tell
I
you
know.
that.
But every
Period.
time I be saying stuff, they be like, "What? Are you serious?" Yeah, it's been a rough journey. You mean like the trauma that I've been
Yeah.
through?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you opened up to him, like, what was his response? Was he, obviously loving or?
Yeah, no, like so we met in college, and I was 17 when I met him, and that's honestly how we bonded at first, like just the trauma that we've both been through. And so, I mean, yeah, he was very receptive. It really like it was like our beginning. Like that's when I was like, okay, I never opened up to a man like that
Right.
before. I was able to do that with him, and I was young, and he did it. We reciprocated it, and so it's so long ago. It's like more than 12 years ago. But he was receptive to it. He received me, and I think that what I went through gave him. It wasn't like, I wouldn't say like it was. I guess it was like kind of interesting. I guess I don't think he's ever like dated anyone before who's actually been through some stuff. And so
So let me ask you this. Did you ever tend to justify your abuse or abusers? And what was that like for you?
oh yeah, I definitely did. I went to therapy about it too, and she helped me a lot, but I'm in this family merged into him, and so he was abusing me for a span of 3 years.
I am so
And
sorry,
and you
Selena.
know him. And so um it was
Oh,
it was
that's
it was
deep,
a
you
long
guys.
time. And so like I justified it because I didn't do anything about it. Like I just thought it was normal. I mean, I spoke up when he tried to rape me. And
Mm,
so that was like, that's when it ended. But, during the time, like our parents left us home alone a lot. So I just thought it was normal. Like it happened between I was 6 and 9. And so, and he was 12 and 15. So it was like, I don't know, like I guess, and then and I'm gonna say something real to y'all. Like I was talking to my therapist about it, and I was justifying things to her, and what she said to me, she said, even so, we have to think we're women. You know what I'm saying? Even it doesn't matter how old you are when you're being like somebody's feeling you down there and stuff like that. It does feel good. You know what I'm saying? It's meant to feel good. God made you for it to feel good.
right,
It's a pleasurable point. But when you're a child and you can't decipher this is wrong from this is actually, I guess, feeling some type of way, you start to think that it's right because it's
right,
like, okay, it doesn't hurt. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So
Right.
as a kid,
that
you're
makes so
confused.
much sense. I never looked at it like that. I'm just
Yeah.
like
When she
blown
said
away
that, I
right
was
now.
like, oh, oh, because a lot of times I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, I didn't say stop sooner. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Right,
it was
Does that
confusing. But when she
mean
said
like
that,
I wanted it?
right,
Like,
right, she was like, Selena, you're a woman. That's what happens to women. It's the same thing when you switch the roles when little boys are molested and everything. Like you start feeling it, feeling their thing. Something happens. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It
yeah.
doesn't mean they want that.
Yeah,
So
no, absolutely, absolutely. So, what was the outcome of these traumas? You said that I gave my brother-in-law a few examples also, but it seems like you answered to you're a people pleaser. So,
Mhm.
because you were constantly in a state of feeling like I just want to be accepted, I want to be loved for me, but so you became a people pleaser. Like now, it's like you're giving people what? Like, and from your words, like what were you giving them to like kind of calm the situation?
I mean, kindness, kindness for sure. Like I was
Mhm.
too kind at a fault. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
I wouldn't stand up for myself in a lot of cases. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had cousins that would like literally, quite literally, like slap me around, and I wouldn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like I might cry, of course, but
Right.
Yeah.
Like
I
you're not
was,
telling anybody.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I definitely wasn't no snitch.
Well, because you were,
And so
but you were used to being, unfortunately, you were used to being used and abused. So you kind of gotten
yeah.
used to just, well, my opinion doesn't matter. Nobody really hears me anyway. So I might as well just keep it to myself. Is that kind of what you felt?
Definitely. And like your brother-in-law said, like it whatever you're going through, someone is always going through something worse. So that's been my
Yeah.
mantra. Like I lived and died by that. And that's just always my mindset. Like I mean, it could be worse, you know?
Mhm.
And so you just learn to just live with it and just get over it. And I mean,
I
it's made me
mean,
resilient, but
I agree with it can always be worse, but don't discredit what you've been through
Exactly.
because
yeah,
we're not all meant to go through the same stuff. And
true.
sometimes we're very much meant for what we're doing right now, is sharing our stories with each other. And there's somebody behind this camera that has gone through what you've gone through. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
but that does not mean that what you went through is like, okay, everybody says, oh, you're not the first one to go through, you're not going to be the last. And that
Yeah.
may be true, but that does not mean that I'm not justified in my feelings or my pain or my grief.
Yeah.
Live, you got to go through it to get through it. That's one of my
Yeah.
sayings. And you got through it. And now it's time for you to use that, wear it as your shield. And now, fuck that people pleasing shit. now you speaking up, right? I
Well,
mean, you know what, cousin, I'm sorry to hear this, especially in this format. I did not know
Definitely.
that, but I'm so grateful for you joining us and giving your testimony, and I hope that it's helping someone here today or someone that will view it. And you
yeah,
got God on your side. You're gonna be all right.
I sure
Mhm.
do. I love what you guys are doing. Keep doing it. Like, I love this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love you. We'll see
Love.
you next time. Oh, that's
That,
heavy.
yeah, definitely. I had to
That's
spark a
heavy.
goddamn blunt for that shit. God.
That's pretty heavy. And unfortunately, I feel like so many people can relate to that. And
Yeah.
that's terrible.
And that's another thing that happens quite often in the Black community is family members are staying with family members and they get taken advantage of, or they feel like they can't speak up and say anything because they're like the black sheep, basically.
Right,
Like,
right.
you
Like,
kind
and
of feel
you're
like I'm
fearing,
not even supposed to be here, so any burden that I have to put onto this family or anything that I have to say, like, may not be received how I want it to be received, and then I'll feel like, okay, I'm the
right.
problem. And
And you fear of like not being heard, you know?
yeah,
Like, you ever heard of that term, the boy who cried wolf?
yeah.
You know the
Hmm.
story. So it kind of reminds me of like that. Not to say that the boy who was crying wolf didn't see the damn wolf, but you know what I mean? Once you tell a story so many times, they don't believe it. And that doesn't mean that it didn't happen to me all these times. You know, like
Yeah.
people just are so careless. For all of our new joiners, tonight's topic is childhood traumas. We had two guests already. Very, very heavy topic. Tonight's emotional.
Yeah.
It's heavy. It's hard. We
Healing
encourage.
too. We're gonna add some positivity in there. It's
Yeah,
healing
healing.
too. It could be healing somebody, giving somebody the courage to step up and speak out and tell their truth and
Yeah.
talk their shit.
Very, very, very special honors. I have told you guys my sad stories
Yes.
so many times. Anybody that follows me, you guys know my brother plays a very, very, very big role in my life. And we've talked a little bit about our childhood traumas. Now, I want you guys to see the perspective of a parent watching their children go through the childhood traumas. We are talking about childhood traumas, and you and I discussed a little bit about what it's like being a parent to children that are, you know, going through the mud, so to speak. And I just want you, as a person of wisdom, to give our viewers and us some advice, some, you know, a little bit of your experience and what it was like from your perspective watching me and my brother.
You know, it was really difficult. I had no clue going into the relationship with you guys was challenging. I have a stepmom, and I was always treated like her daughter. I never once felt like I didn't belong to her. You know, I just had a bonus mom. And so, you know, when you guys came along, it was under some challenging circumstances. You guys know this story. Your father and I were still married. We were just separated on the outs when you guys were conceived. So, at some point we got back together, and I just decided that, you know, I was going to make a go at a marriage, and you guys, it was a package deal, and I was going to accept you guys for no matter what the circumstances were, and I did. I was criticized, I was ridiculed by family and what have you because there was children outside the marriage, and what are you doing? And ultimately, I was doing what God put on my heart to do, which was to love the kids.
Yeah.
Eventually, it got to a point where your biological mom and I finally got to a point where we were in a really, really good place, and we'd had some conversations, and I knew that this is what I had to do. So I took on that responsibility for you and your brother, and it got to a point where I knew in my heart, in my spirit, what I was supposed to do, but it was becoming more and more difficult
I'm gonna
because
pause you for a second. There was a moment where, for those that don't know, my father was on here once before. This is his ex-wife, Monica. This is my stepmother. There was a moment before my mom passed away that she had a conversation with you. And she had said, if anything ever happens to me, I want you to take care of these kids. And when it happened, you're saying this is where God turned that light bulb on and was like, this is your purpose. These kids, yes, they were out of the marriage. Yes, it may have broken me, you know, it maybe have the marriage may have fell apart, but you took on the responsibility.
I did. I took on the responsibility because your mom asked me. That's what she asked me to do, and so I did. And you know, we in the marriage, it went up, down, sideways, all around. But I always tried to hang in there because of you and Anthony, and because I knew that you were going to need me. And it was really, really difficult. It was even once the week I decided, I made a decision. I asked to please let you guys come and stay with me, and he wouldn't. So I knew that you guys were going to have some tough times. I knew things were going to be difficult for you guys, but I did my best to hang in there. And there were times where, you know, it was really rough. You know, times where I had to bribe, and I had to lie, and I had to, you know, pay money or whatever the case may be to do whatever it was to stay in you guys' life, you know. And I used to have to, you know, talk to other people and, hey, how are they doing? Because I couldn't talk to you, I couldn't see you, you know. But I hung in there. I hung in there as best I could, and it broke my heart. It broke my heart because I knew that you guys were going through so many difficult challenges and changes and what have you, and you needed me. And that's why I kept doing whatever I had to do to be in your life, no matter what it was, whether it was to drive 100 miles to spend 20 minutes with you, or, you know, to go to court and fight for custody of you guys. I did. And, you know, unfortunately, by the time that I was able to do anything, because in the state of California, you can't do anything until the kid is 14, and the kid's got to be able to say that where they want to
Speak
live.
for
I was
themselves.
yeah, I didn't have any rights, no rights in the court system. So I had to wait until you guys were old enough where I could take him to court and get guardianship of you guys. But by that time, you know, you guys have been through so much trauma. You have been through so much trauma. I struggled with Anthony, and when I did get him, I did get guardianship of him. I tried to send him. Some of his best. He told me some of his best times were when he was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, going.
I was gonna
To high
say
school.
Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
And
said
my
that.
brother became state champion for New Mexico State. And I want you to talk a little bit more about what it was like feeling helpless. There was nothing you could do. The
I
state
cried.
was in the way.
I cried. I cried a many a night and wrung my hands a many a night and stayed up a many a night. I talked to, you know, friends and what have you. I have a friend from high school that's a psychologist and a therapist, and you know, she talked to me a lot about, you know, how I was feeling and what I was going through. And you know, at that point, you really have to be strong and stand strong in your faith with God, because you don't know why. I wring my hands and I asked God, why did you put me here? Because it was so painful when you guys left. I don't know if you remember that day, but I woke up that morning and you guys were gone. And all of a sudden, you know, life as I knew it was gone. Because you guys now understand, because you have children of your own, when you know, you get so invested in your kids, you know, your whole world revolves around them. What's going on with them? What you're doing with them? You know, I was taking you to school, dropping you off, going on the weekends. We had fit plans that we were doing and what have you. And then all of a sudden one day, all that was gone. It was
But I
awesome.
would like to say that you've always gone above and beyond, because not only did you parent me and Anthony, you parented all of my dad's kids and gave me an extra brother and a sister that I do not know the difference. I don't see them any different than my own. And I thank you for bringing us in as one. There's no, you can't tell me who's who and what's what. You know, you did a very great job, and I love you and I appreciate you.
I love you, and I appreciate you too. And I know that,
Aww.
ultimately it was going to come down, like I've always told you. I knew you'd be okay. I knew you would. You were strong, and I know you was mad as hell at me, but it made you a stronger person. It made you a stronger woman. I love the mom that you are. I love the friend that you are. I love who you've become. I'm so proud of you and Zuri, of the two individuals, the two people that you guys have become. It's been a struggle, and I recognize it's been a struggle, and you guys have been through a lot. Talk about childhood trauma, but
Yeah.
you managed to rise above it.
Yeah.
And that's amazing, and it doesn't always happen and always work out that way.
Yeah.
So grace of God, His grace and His mercy. Yeah, I have an ex-husband who I deal with, and because now we have grandchildren together, and I still feel as though we do have children together, and we go through things, and that's why he's still in my life after all of this time. Oh my God. But it's God's grace and His mercy, and I know that this is what He wants me to do. Even though some days me and God have conversations about, I don't know why you feel like I can handle this. Why do you feel like I can handle this? Because
Right. Like, I don't want to be strong anymore, God.
Right. I don't want to be the toughest soldier.
I don't want to be the toughest soldier anymore. I want to be the one that takes the low road. I don't want to take the high road no more.
Yeah.
And
But there's something great waiting for you at the top, and like we always say, is you got to go through it to get through it, and you
Yes.
show and
you
prove.
got that right. You never
Most
know.
definitely.
You never know what God's plan is in store for you. And I learned that lesson. In the last year, I've learned that tomorrow's not promised to nobody. So we have to be thankful. We have to be present, and we have to be focused on what's in front of us, not what's
Yeah.
behind us. Or not, all of the other things that are going on. Be present in our kids' lives, be present in these grandkids' lives. We have to show them love. We have to show them support, encouragement, and nurture them. Nurture these kids, because
Yes.
they're gonna have a very tough road, and they're gonna have to be strong, and they're gonna have to be, kick ass. So, but
Yeah.
I entrust the two of y'all. I already know the two of y'all got that under control.
But I also want to add in there, Auntie, because I'm really seeing lately with having these conversations is we also need to instill like our history, because I feel like that's getting lost within the years and the generations and the elders that we're losing. Like they're not really, that's another reason why we wanted to do this podcast, because it's like people aren't really talking anymore. Like we're not having conversations anymore. Everybody wants to be on their phone and stuff like that. Okay, well, you want to be on your phone? Be on your phone watching this live. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Like get
Tap
Well,
in.
learn
that's
something.
Yeah.
why that's why it's really important for me to gather up my grandkids, and we go places, or we do things that they are actively involved. There ain't no cell phones involved, no
Exactly.
iPads
Put the phone
involved.
down. Cause
Put the
that's what
phone
you
down.
did with us. We was going places, and when we was kids, we didn't have no cell phones, so we
Mm-mm.
was
And,
enjoying the experience. We were
and
like
but no,
live in effect.
these kids, they are allowed to be kids. I
Yeah.
feel like there's
Yes.
plenty of time for them to be adults.
Yeah.
Me and Ivana was talking about that, with my oldest, her nephew, the oldest nephew, DeAndre. DeAndre, he's 22 now, and he's like, I hate adulting. I hate adulting. And I can relate. I can relate, you
Yeah.
know, because
Yeah.
you don't get to be a kid, you know, so you need to be a kid as long as you can be a kid. And, I'm changing my philosophy. I used to have that philosophy that you need to figure it out and make sure you got a plan by the time you graduate high school because you ain't going to
I
be laying up all
remember that. I remember that.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, my philosophy has changed slightly, and the reason my philosophy has changed slightly is because it is so hard out here for you guys to have, establish your life.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about it today, and I was like, okay, now I need to talk to Ivana because, she getting on, she getting ready to, she's about ready to hit 30, and, y'all gonna buy a house or what y'all gonna do? Because there's
Whoa.
generational wealth. You
Look,
gotta have
look at times
generational
are
wealth.
hard,
Yes,
okay? My rent is
they
$2,000.
are. Yes, they
By
are.
That's
myself,
that no rent
$2,000.
control in
Jesus.
California. That's that no rent control in
No,
California
but
BS.
to thrive, and I want you to be successful, and not, getting so caught up in the minutia of life that you don't look beyond that. Because the reality is, I just bought my house 3 years ago, and I feel like I'm behind the eight ball. I feel like I'm late to that party. I feel like I'm late to the party of retiring and enjoying, quality of life and what have you. I don't want y'all to get there. If I have anything that I would share, it would be make sure that you prepare your children for a better life. Make sure you lay foundation for a better life. Teach them things, take them places, give them experiences so that they already know. It's not brand new to them. Nobody from the street is showing them
Show them.
what's going on. They mama showed them that.
So we had kind of talked about this earlier, and I mentioned this in one of the previous podcasts, how Anthony and I were raised parallel to each other in the same household, same parents, same family, and everything. But our experiences were completely different. And I want to kind of touch on that from your perspective.
It was challenging for me. I saw so much potential in both of my kids, you and Anthony. I saw so much potential in you guys, and I like I said, I pushed, for you guys to go in different directions and do different things, and I tried to expose you to as much as I could expose you to, and with you, Ivana, we touched on it, I resonated with you and I pushed you because I recognized at a very early age, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, that you were so inquisitive and you wanted, you would question everything.
I do.
Everything.
I always got a
And,
question. I just need
and
Yes.
answers.
you are
Just need
so
answers.
analytical, and I just felt like you were going to be my lawyer. You were going to be my lawyer. I knew this always. Anthony, I was scared to death. You know this. I was scared to death for him to play sports because he was so little and frail. He was so little and frail. But
My brother's
but
tiny, yeah.
but he had
Man.
he's always had the biggest heart, and
Yes.
I just thought I guess the best way to describe it was that I was in denial, and
Mhm.
what I did recognize was that there was a lot. You guys had went through a lot of
In
trauma during
5
that
years,
time
yeah.
frame. During that time frame, you guys went through a lot of trauma and different experiences and what have you. And by the time he came back, at 15, he's smoking weed. He's got tattoos, and he's got a whole different perspective and what have you. And so I was trying, and I knew he was still smart. Ivana, remember when y'all went to Venice High School? Do you remember that? And he said to me that because the teacher was calling on him, and he wouldn't raise his hand because he didn't want the other kids to know how smart he was. Y'all definitely ain't slow. Y'all ain't slow, okay, at all. Just saying.
That's
Well,
facts.
thanks.
But with Anthony, um, I learned over a period of time because I tried to get him up out of the environment. I felt like if he was, his happiest times were in Albuquerque, and so I beg, borrowed, and stole to get him back to Albuquerque. He got to Albuquerque, did very, very well. Was like Ivana said, he was 2013's pole vaulting state champion, and they were supposed to be, and they went to nationals as well. Anthony, um, he got offered a full scholarship at New Mexico State, but Anthony was listening to these coaches and what have you that were in his ear in Arizona that were telling him, oh, well, you can come here and you can have this and you can have that and we'll do this for you and we'll do that for you. And so he took it and he didn't take the full scholarship. And I knew I was in trouble then.
Yeah.
And when he got to Arizona, we found out that all of that was lies and just blowing smoke. You know, he
And in
got there.
exchange, he was exposed to drugs and a lot of, let's just say, bad people. And that took a turn for the worse and ultimately, wrote his destiny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he and I felt like, even now I feel like, I, to some extent, I failed because I didn't recognize who he was becoming or what was going on with him. And when he came back from Arizona, he was just from when he got from Arizona and after he caught that first case, I just did not know who he was. And I was struggling, trying to figure it out or trying to see what I could do to help him. But I was I guess I was in denial, and I was remembering another side of my son. I didn't know this new person, and I was just ill. I felt so ill-equipped to help him. I just felt so ill-equipped. Again, I went to my friend that was the psychologist, and I talked to her about it, and she was like, "Get him in to see me. Get him in to see me. If you can get him in to see me, I can help him." But it never happened.
But I want to tell you that I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much
Yes,
for your
I
wisdom,
love
your
you,
advice.
Auntie, and I
I
definitely
love
appreciate
you
you
both.
because you were a big influence in my life as well. And I just can only appreciate you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Liz.
Hi,
I,
Liz.
I went to high school with Ivana and Anthony.
Yes.
But as far as childhood trauma that has affected me in my adult life, it would have to be the absence of parent guidance.
Mm,
So both my mom and my dad and my stepfather, they all struggled with drug addiction. So, out of those three parents, none of them were present in my upbringing. So there was a lot of times where I couldn't depend on my parents for really anything. There was a lot of letdown that has led me to be super hyper independent. So I don't ask anybody for anything. I would rather struggle to figure it out and navigate by myself rather than reach out and ask somebody for help um, because there's that fear of being let down.
right.
That also translates into my relationship um, because although I know my partner can come through for me, I would just rather not because there's always that possibility that he's going to let me down too.
Right. And it's going to kind of bring up all the old stuff for you.
Yeah, so I'm very, very hyper independent and I can't accept help and I don't like to ask for help either. And that also plays a part in the way that I raise my daughter because I feel that I had to become so independent so young. At times I catch myself trying to force independence upon her so she doesn't have to rely on me when she's only 5.
Mm. Would you say that the way you're raising her, I mean, obviously it stems from what you went through, but without being biased towards yourself, do you feel like that's the right thing to do? I mean, she does have a father who's actively in her life, and you should be able to teach her that she can depend on him, right?
Right. So that is one of the issues that me and her dad both go back and forth with, because I'm trying to teach her independence to do a lot of things, and he's like, no, just leave her alone, let her be a kid, like she doesn't need to learn that right now. And I'm like, no, she needs to know this, like what are you talking about? So we go back and forth with that. Like his parenting style is more like just let her do her, like she's gonna learn when it comes time to do it. And I'm like, no, she needs to learn this now so she doesn't have to depend on anybody to do it for her.
Right. Right. Now, would you say that you justified that neglect from your parents, or did you ever like put the blame on anyone, or how did you cope with that?
So it's been like a whirlwind of emotions growing up. Like at first it was like, okay, well, they're battling this addiction, so I guess I just kind of have to figure it out. But then as I got older, like I'm going through different stages in my life and parents are not present. So it's like, okay, well, they're continuously choosing drugs over me. So then
Mm,
I built up this anger and resentment towards my parents. And it was about a decade that went by where I didn't speak to either one of them. And I chose to cut them off, even
right.
if they were trying to reach out. Um, I was just like, well, you guys, you've been doing your own thing, so why
Like you
worry
had
about
your
me?
shot to raise and you lost that. So,
Yeah. So now, present day, like, I don't know if I kind of justify anything anymore. Like, I let bygones be bygones. It is what it is. I can't hold that grudge anymore. Like I did used to blame my mom and my dad for a lot of the things that I used to do, but like I'm an adult now. So I'm pushing 32, and if I haven't learned how to figure it out by now, like there's no reason for me to still continue to blame my mom for old things or my dad for old things when I've had every
mm.
opportunity raising myself to change my mindset or my mentality.
Yeah.
You know, I can relate to that. As you just seen when Monica came on, we talked about what my brother went through and how that affected us. And for a long time, I blamed both of my parents for what he went through. Not necessarily what I went through, because I knew mine was more of like a physical act. But what I kind of want to add here is like, you have the right to blame your parents. I mean, something that I go by is I didn't ask to be here. Okay. So once we put that on the table, now, I do get to a certain point in my life where I have to take responsibility for what I'm doing moving forward. That's
Hmm.
understandable. But I think everything starts with the surface. You got to start at the foundation.
Yeah,
Where did this come from? Why am I going through this? In order to know how to get through it, you got to know where it came from. You got, at least for me, the way that I raise my children is if I'm doing something wrong, if I'm hurting your feelings, if if I said something to offend you or whatever, or if you feel like I'm wrong, like I mentioned this in one of the podcasts, a
Yeah.
lot of times I give my children the space to be open and honest with me, because that's where we go wrong with our kids is
hmm,
they're so afraid of us, afraid to tell us that we're wrong, that we think, oh, we're the parent, I'm the adult, I'm right, you're wrong, you're the child. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Stay in a child's place. Give them that opportunity to tell you when you're wrong. And I feel like if you haven't already done so, I think you should have that conversation with your parents so you can move forward with that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been rekindling my relationship with my mom. Like we've been getting better. So there's that. My dad, he's kind of in the wind. But things have been a whole lot better with my mom. Like, she's been sober. She's doing her grandma thing now. So things have turned around with her. For me, I don't want to resurface the past because over the years that they were absent from my life, I've done a lot of work to move past it. So I don't want to go digging up old bones
Right,
when I've done a lot of the work to get myself to where I am today.
right,
I
Yeah.
still struggle with that hyper independence, but everything else I've put in the work to move past all the hurt and the resentment that was caused by my parents.
right.
So I'm not trying to let that resurface
No,
because
yeah,
I'm in a good space
yeah.
now.
Well, and now you have your guard up, so to speak, right? Like now you know who to let into your life, and they have to act accordingly. They ain't able to stay there. It's your
Yeah.
life now. You're
Yeah.
not a child anymore. I love that for you. I really love that for you. And you've been with your partner almost 14 years?
14 years, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you have a
That
beautiful
is
daughter, by the way.
definitely an accomplishment.
That
Nerves.
runs her own box trucking company. I'm going to, well, we always post all the lives. She's an entrepreneur. She's come a long way, and I'm very, very proud of you. And thank you for sharing your testimony. Testimony. I don't know what I just said. Every Tuesday, you got a chance at $25. It may go up. You guys never know. We're feeling a little generous. You know what I mean? We'll see.
Just because off the simple fact on y'all are interacting with us. Y'all are giving us what we wanted. This is what the whole purpose of this podcast was. To interact, get to know other people's opinions, and talk yo shit.
Logo for Opinionhated. You guys got finish the sentence. You guys got when the first live podcast was, but nobody got who came in. Ah, Elizabeth got it. Yes.
Who got it?
Elizabeth got all of them. I knew she fucking was. I knew she was. Elizabeth, the one that just got off the live, she got all of them.
Oh wow.
The answers, okay? I'm gonna repeat the question. Liz, you won. You got $25 coming. You're my girl. I fucking love it.
Yay!
Liz, congratulations. Our number one opinion hater so far. Repeat the questions. Liz, you already won. The questions were, when was our first live podcast? She got the answer. It was August 22nd. Who came in the live at the end of the relationship, episode 3? That's Poet. That was correct. Finish the sentence. Introduce yourself. Stay on topic. Talk your shit. You got that one right. What is the logo for Opinionhated? The microphone. Thank you so much for joining episode 5, Childhood Traumas. And my name is Ivana. This is my cousin Zuri, and you're watching Opinionhated. See you guys next time.